throughout like 13 years of schooling in LPS, I had never once seen disabled people within history. And I thought that my junior year was going to be the year that that happened. And so when it didn't, it was hard. Hi, I'm Lily, and I sit in the seat beside you. Hi, I'm Lily Lautenschlager. I graduated from East in 2022, and I am a freshman at the University of Arizona. I was taking APUSH, and we had gotten to the civil rights movement. It was all the different civil rights movements for LGBTQ, Black history, all of that, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is right in the time period. This is right where my group of people, the disabled community, that's where we're gonna come in. And I was so excited because it was it fit right there. And I was like, yes. And then I remember at the end of the week, my APUSH teacher is like, okay, so we're done. And I was like, what? And it was really disappointing because I got really excited about it. That's when my mom, she's a teacher, and she's like, well, you could go to this person. And I was like, okay. So then I reached out to that person, and things just kind of took off from there.
All right, good morning, ladies and gents.
Hi, I'm Michaela Schleicher. I teach social studies at Lincoln East, and I teach AP World History, AP Government, and Government and Politics.
Can you imagine if you are not an able-bodied person, where maybe you have restrictions, whether it be wheelchair, crutches, or just extremely inhibited on your movement? Never heard of. The longest sit-in in a federal building in U.S. history.
It's truly a lesson about empowerment and how people take that role on for themselves and not just sit back and wait for the government to step in and do something.
What did the ADA do that 504 didn't do, Cole?
It extends accessibility to public spaces.
Yeah, so basically if you're a place that offers your services or whatnot to the general public, it needs to be accessible, right? Have you seen
I just did the lesson that you kind of helped inspire. I honestly felt it went really well, and I had the students write an essay afterwards, kind of creating an argument based on what they had learned over those 2 days, and how an individual like Judith Heumann and others can kind of shape policy towards helping potentially, the disabled movement, but others as well.
Definitely one of my favorite couple of days from last semester, because nobody really knew about it. So you would ask a question and everyone would be like, and then be like.
On your own, respond to both of these prompts. What legislation did Judith Heumann and others advocate for to push for the rights of the disabled? And then why were these pieces necessary?
I had Lily in my AP Government class last year in the spring. We did the lesson in that class as a test run, and after class she cried and she could not believe to see herself represented and how much it meant to her.
The main reason that disability is often left out of curriculum in history is just because even though we are the biggest minority group in the world, we're not often perceived as big as we actually are. 15% of the world, or give or take, has a disability. But if you watch on-screen movies or television or anything like that, less than 2% of characters have a disability on screen. And so disabilities have been really made to stand out through media and everything like that, meaning that we really don't seem that important. We don't seem it doesn't seem like it applies to as many people as it actually does. And so because it doesn't apply to that many people, they're like, oh, we can kind of skip over it a little bit. It doesn't really matter, but it does matter to those few people that it does apply to, and it actually applies to a lot more than people realize.
People don't often talk about disability, and so this can be really isolating for disabled people. And also talking about it can raise awareness for the importance of implementing accommodations instead of just like sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Students find it very eye-opening, things that they never thought of before that they take for granted. We take for granted so many things that the ADA and other the works of Judith Heumann and others have done that benefit all of us, able-bodied or not.
Lily, as a Lincoln East graduate and a graduate from Lincoln Public Schools, what could we as a district or as a school do to help improve the experience for students with disabilities?
Looking back, I was very lucky to have a lot of the teachers that I had, and I was very lucky to have my parents there, like pushing and fighting to like get me the help that I needed. But I would say like one of the main things is that accessibility should not be an afterthought. It should not be something where you plan something and then all of a sudden it's the day of, and then you see someone in a wheelchair and you're like, oh no. When you set up your classroom, you should think, would a wheelchair person be able to navigate my classroom freely? It shouldn't be, oh, if all the chairs are pushed in, this person can get around. It should be, if all the chairs are pulled out, if there are backpacks in the aisles, can someone in a wheelchair still get from their seat to where you turn things in? Can they still get from their seat to the door? Do they have different options on where they can sit? That is just something that it's forefront in my mind because I deal with it every day as a wheelchair user, but it's not forefront in most other people's minds. And that would be something that I would like to see implemented into Lincoln Public Schools, is that accessibility is not an afterthought.
It's really important to learn about the person in the seat beside you because it helps us to be more empathetic and to see something through a new lens.
The more open we are talking about disability and disability-related things, the more that disability is going to be socially accepted within our society.